Welcome everyone to this week episode 26 entitled Queen Hagar Remember Moments of Before for my podcast show, Nichel Anderson Short Stories and Beyond, where we will learn some clues for what happened that led up to the first scene in episode 1 when I kicked off this podcast entitled Before the Time of Princess Aamina, where that came to me to start another podcast after I originally decided to start doing podcasting with my other podcast show. It was entitled Surviving Your Journey Toward Success. In this particular podcast of mine, dealing with short stories, featuring what I love, what I'm passionate about, storytelling, and to also focus on a very important project that I'm calling it MOLIAE, which is from my book, Mitzrayim. Also, this particular production is currently still in the prep stage to return back to stage. That would be called The Prestige Return of MOLIAE Stage Play, which future updates and news of that will be forthcoming. But let's get started with this particular episode 26, that is planned to be released here today on May the 7th, 2018. And we will be able to kind of get some more clues from Queen Hagar, where she will recall a moment that leads up to other events that change her family life. She confides in her father, Tayyib, that's currently is still in Mitzrayim with his wife and Queen Hagar mother, Queen Mother Mana, that's visiting Queen Hagar, Princess Hannah, and of course King Milan. That at this moment, going forward from last week, King Milan is still hidden. No one really knows exact of what's going on with him, where he's at, what happened from that moment from the war, and he just disappeared. So at any rate, Queen Hagar is confiding in her father Tayyib regarding the old and the new, and the pieces of broken memories in these moments. It's Queen Hagar's heart and mind that are now finally aligned for the first time after the devastating event dealing with the war, which it seems to be against the Orions and other tribal members in the Sudan. The Sudan is what we call Africa now. So in the midst of the moment of memories, there is someone that interrupts their conversation. So we're going to kind of get into that. Now, I will not be able to reveal everything. So again, this particular podcast of mine, Nichel Anderson Short Stories and Beyond, is a premium type podcast. So I will release only clips of the short story, but you still get enough to be able to follow a bit to see how this person relates to that person, how the story is connecting. But to get the whole full grasp of it, to support the podcast, become a member. So to get the full short story this week starts only the clip snippet, as I mentioned before, from the full short story. So therefore, listeners must become, or consider, I should say, a patron of the Nichel Anderson Short Stories and Beyond podcast patron program. You can find information on that at www.patreon.com/Nichel Anderson. Also on my Patreon page, when you do sign up, each level you can get rewards for each level that you sign up for. So you get things back as well as getting the full access to these short stories that I don't release the full short story most of the time where I'm in my active season. This is season 1, 2017-2018. I do periodically release full short stories, so I do that as well. But for the most part, there are clippets, and it's enough to be able to get you in the know of a particular storyline. In this case, it's MOLIAE. It's very important to me, and it's a journey that I started a long time ago from writing the book Mitzrayim and into stage and websodes, and that's why we're turning back to stage in the future to make it a bigger production and bring some of these characters that I have mentioned into the production. Now let's go ahead and move to recap from last week, what happened in the last episode, where it was featuring a clip snippet of the disagreement between the Orions, the initial one that opened the scene in episode 1, before the time of Princess Aamina. Because remember, if you've been following me or just starting into this podcast, my book Mitzrayim, the most important character in that story was Princess Aamina. So we saw everybody through her eyes, and that's how we met the two kings, King Dama, King Daniel. And then we later learned out the background of the whole deal of who she had to marry. So in this particular podcast, when I started last year, it was coming from a moment of time where it was before Princess Aamina was on the scene. So therefore it was Queen Hagar, Queen Milan, Princess Aamina parents, and then her sister, Princess Hannah, which was the firstborn. So in this particular episode 1, that I encourage you to go and listen to that, it's where one of the Orions, Nontu, was in this scene, and Nontu was talking to Queen Hagar. So it's a very powerful episode 1, that starts everything up leading up to now. So Nontu and the high-rank council members that it's seen was talking about what Nontu discovered. Echo and Lanko was not feeling it. Pretty much they did not support him, and they basically kind of shut him down. So last week you saw that back and forth where the tension rose between the Orions in a major disagreement. Where that will lead, you're going to have to tune in to find out, to get some clues, or to get all of it, consider to become a patron of my podcast, right? So we did learn, this listening by Nontu, that he discovered something from somebody that was connected to Mitzrayim, a direct lineage, a high rank particular person associated with the royal family of Mitzrayim. But Echo and Lanko disagree with Nontu's strategy to use that as a good footing, due to Queen Hagar is currently ruling Mitzrayim, but they know King Milan is alive pretty much. They just don't know where. And that was on a previous episode where some more information came to them that in fact there's more to it. We didn't get to succeed when we were a part of the war against Mitzrayim. Let's go ahead and let's begin. For this week on my podcast show, Nichel Anderson, Short Stories and Beyond. For this week, episode 26, entitled Queen Hagar, Remember Moments of Before. Opening scene. In the outskirts of Mitzrayim, a passage known to only those that know of the ancients of Sumna. Horses are seen pulling a royal chariot. Flickering of lights bounce off the Mitzrayim high military rank to the king as they rode in the darkness. There were the king's 12 loyal military men, one of which was the general. They called him Tayyib. The one with the golden arm led the royal chariot. His eyes gleamed as those from thunder and striking lines in the desert sand. Wearing his rank chest plate well with his military honor, he was ever so cautious as he knew the destination was near upon them. General Tayyib signals the man to stop as he prepared to step down from his horse. He opens the royal enclosed chariot. It was a woman inside with a hooded covering her hair and her face, wearing a long gray robe. General Tayyib motioned the guards to follow, with 3 to stay behind with the horses and chariot. Fire of lights lit up on the torches. The military guards instantly held ready with their weapons, as well as they started down the pebble path leading to the mud clay thorough hut made from the ancient mines of Zimbabwe. General Tayyib made slight noises for 4 of his top king's guards to understand what to do and to proceed by notifying the one inside the Clayton hut of their arrival. They knocked on the door. Silence filled the night as the general stood inches in front to protect the woman behind him. The loud door finally opened to expose a man of age, not too young or old, but fit still to battle nonetheless. He was shocked to see the royal guards before him, but he knew to step back and let them in. The royal guards entered with the general, with the woman the last to do so. The door closed behind them. The man that owned the hut spoke first. "And for what do I owe this visit in the middle of Kungo's shadowy ways, General?" General Tukan responded as he stepped to the side, bowing. "The Queen of Mitzrayim is here to speak with thee." Queen Hagar removed her hood of ordinary to expose her face. Still young was with the eyes of determination from those queens prefer her in Mitzrayim. Gasping a bit before covering up his surprise, pleased to see Hagar again, the owner of the mud clay hut smiled. "Nice, is it indeed?" "Aseti Rulan, I need to speak to you, this shadow," spoke Queen Hagar. "I come for knowledge that only you know deep in the minds of old." The owner of the hut, named Rulan, stepped back. "Why have you entered here, still with the sage of Malan, the king of Mitzrayim? Your heart still?" Queen Hagar dismissed what he said and focused on what she needed to get from him. "That is not what is of the now," Rulan still determined. "Yet your moments away of here led you there, and not to what I thought would be." Queen Hagar shook her head to remove the words that he spoke. They knew each other for a long time, since they were children. But time has changed, and she knew that she had to focus on what she felt that he knew a lot more than what he was still hesitant to reveal. What was of us was a time of children play. Your uncle was good to you to learn you of the Mitzrayim rays that we met. Our friendship will always be honored. But I need to know those of the southern region has moved against Mitzrayim, my king, who forged this union to the north. She removed an object from her hand and went to place it on the table near Rulan. He seemed nervous. "This is not of the now. You should go, Queen Hagar. There are many against your beloved King Malan. Secrets run deep in the south of Sudan." Frustrated, she speaks. "So you will not assist Mitzrayim and I? That is not what your uncle would have agreed. So be it." She turns to leave, replacing back the hood to cover her face, as one of the guards picked up the object that she left on the table. Rulan speaks. "Yet I will always remember this moment, Hagar, that I got to see you once more." Queen Hagar turned to face him. "Yet I do not feel the same. Duty comes first before the heart. Where really is yours?" A breeze broke through. In the moment of now, Queen Hagar was in Mitzrayim, and she remembered that moment, speaking to Rulan of afar. Sounds of her mother and Tayyib, with her daughter Hannah, Princess Hannah, came ever so loudly as they continued to interrupt her flash of a memory of the moments before. It was her father that noticed that she had experienced a memory. He motioned to his wife, Queen Mother Manna to take Princess Hannah as he walked up next to Hagar to the east bank of the palace. Suddenly, the royal spy, under the disguise of a regular guard, approached the queen. She went to him, and he handed her a rolled-up papyrus message. She nods back to the guard as she slowly unrolled it and read it. It was an ancient Sumerian cuneiform. She paused, staring straight ahead, and thought, "Her father speaks. What is it, Hagar?" "It seems you are right, father. It is End scene. This concludes this week clip snippet for this episode. If you would like to listen to the full story, please visit my Patreon page. The information will be in the below description. Thank you again. Of this podcast, Nichel Anderson, Short Stories and Beyond. I will release only the clippet of the short story, and once you become a patron, you will have access to the full short story, what's going on next, and I do plan to release more director clip notes as well as a bonus of releasing a story. Thank you again for joining my podcast this week. So long.